And that's something to always keep in mind when you're in the woods and you're looking for Sasquatch, anything. There's plenty of dangerous things you can come across that are not a wild animal, and you can see some things that you're not supposed to see, especially in Oregon. These woods are not like, you know, small areas, safe places near neighborhoods. These places are out there.
They're growing. They're growing up to be full-grown wood watchers. These things take time. So I am jumping over all sorts of trip hazards here in what can be described as wild country, the Olympic National Forest for sure. There's a sawmill, some of you might even recognize. And this is going to be where I do the mainstay of my carving and explorations and death-defying jumps. I spent some time down in Oregon. Now I know he's been road tripping outside of the Olympic Peninsula, and it's called Olympic Strange Days. And now it's Baker City Strange Days. Now is it Oregon Strange Days? Well, hold on to your horses here. Don't get anxious. I am not going anywhere. The Olympics are my home. Adopted by nature. So John Denver of me. As I made my way down to Eugene to basically find out if Oregon could be the transitional moment in my life, a decision was made that no, it cannot be. An opportunity opened up here, closer to the wild, closer to them, and more in tune with a schedule that suits me. So I know it sounds cryptic. We don't have to get into all the crazy details. Just know that I'm in my happy place. And when I was down in Oregon, basically deciding whether or not Oregon could be the potential zip code, I ended up talking to a witness by the name of Michael Beavers. Now, Michael, one of the first people I ever talked to regarding a UFO, a triangular-looking craft at night over Springfield, Oregon, mild stomping grounds. And I talked to Michael briefly after he reports his sighting, I want to say like in 2017. And I don't know what happened to that episode, how we recorded it. I think we recorded it as an audio piece, as an extra for my old show. But we go back into it. We go down memory lane, and Michael is, he's such a cool guy. But he had an ironic thing after he had his UFO encounter. He got pretty engrossed in the subject matter, started his own podcast, and then gave me a call last year. He said, I'd like to start looking into Bigfoot. Now, all he asked me was, where's a safe place to go Bigfooting in the daytime? I want to bring my daughter. And I think she must be under 10 years old. So I gave him one of the places, you know, that I know pretty well. And, well, what transpired was pretty unexpected and led to the cops showing up. In fact, detectives. And although this particular moment in time just outside of Springfield, Oregon, has been kind of hidden and obscured, and we don't get into all the juicy details. In fact, probably have to bleep some of this out. The gist is that you never know what you're going to wander into when you're out Bigfooting. But for it to be his first trip, wow. So we have that. Also, there is a witness out of Springfield, Oregon, again, that I had interviewed months back. And it's time to add this guy into the mix. He fits perfectly into this narrative. And again, not all road trips can be planned or scheduled. Even in life, you will hit your peaks and valleys. And when you're in a valley, well, you're coming up on a peak sooner or later. And that's where we are now. We're down in the valley, heading up to a peak. Well, enjoy this unscripted wild ride here. My time down in Eugene, Oregon. Thank God, back here in the Olympics. Really an old friend of mine, technically maybe on the clock right now, but doing the yeoman's work, Mr. Michael Beavers. Hey, dude.
What's going on, guys?
It's good to see you, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So thanks for doing this. Yeah. And, you know, we've had intermittent contact, Michael, regarding your time in Eugene. You're still Eugene, Springfield area, right?
I am. I'm still here.
And when we first met, Michael put out a report on social media about something that was pretty fascinating. It looked like an apex three-pointed star of maybe like a triangle craft. Is that right?
Absolutely. That is exactly what it was.
Okay, well, tell them more.
So, long story short, I was with my young daughter. I don't even believe she was a year yet. And just a normal day, had ate some food. We looked out the window, and sure enough, is this large triangle of lights out in the sky, and it had come across like flat. And I'm looking at it, I freaked out because I knew I was looking at something crazy. And at that point, I tried to run downstairs, get it on video, and yeah, I posted it on social media, and I got a message about 10 minutes after I posted it that said, "I want to interview you." I said, "Okay, why not?" And Mr. Tobe here came to my house at maybe 10:30 at night.
Oh, let's go to the
with a recorder.
We'll play some b-ball while he's talking.
And did a full interview with me and stuff, and I thought that was probably the coolest job anybody could ever have. So I've been friends with him since. And
job is a loose term here, folks.
Yeah, fair. But
right.
But yeah, so ever since then, that kind of drew me into the whole, you know, UFO, Bigfoot thing, all in Oregon, which is a huge deal, and been a part of it ever since.
We're talking like this thing.
It was big.
Big, like
big.
Football stadiums.
Very big.
Stadiums.
Absolutely.
Like, fair to say, like 2 or 3 at least Autzen stadiums.
I would say so, yeah, because I mean it's up there. It was pretty big, and the crazy part about it was it turned off like a light switch. That was the weirdest part about it. I had called my roommate who was downstairs. She didn't end up waking up, and screamed her name. In the video, you can hear it screaming, "Brandy, Brandy!"
Yes.
I was freaking out. Run downstairs. We look at it right in the sky, and it turns off like a light switch, like somebody just flipped a switch and turned it right off. It was nuts. It was absolutely nuts.
So the stars inside of it were blacked out.
Yeah, you couldn't see anything behind it, 100%.
So on the edges, you could see stars.
Yeah.
There's a clear sky, and I believe it was over Jasper area, right?
Like, yeah, it would have been facing towards that direction, yeah.
Okay.
So from our apartment window at that time, that's about the direction it was in. So,
okay.
And it had came from the other side of Springfield, so maybe towards, like, kind of towards Clearwater Park, like coming across this way.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that's east-west or north-south, but yeah, it was pretty interesting.
And how did that change you from there? Because, you know, before then you weren't really investing time and...
No, I'd watch some Ancient Aliens once in a while, that kind of basic stuff or whatever. But after that, I've been into it ever since. I talked to people online. I started my own podcast, started making YouTube videos and stuff.
Plug. What's the name of it?
UFOs over UFO on YouTube, Oregon UFOs on Instagram. I post a lot of stuff on there. But yeah, I dove deep after that, man. Dove deep. Now I'm fully in it. I'm going to festivals. I'm doing everything. I actually saw Tobe here at the McMinnville UFO Festival, I think a year after that. And I was like, he saw me and he's like, "Hey, Beavers." And I was like, "Oh man, what's up?" So it was pretty cool. I like it. It's a good community scene with UFOs, Bigfoot, stuff like that. Everybody is in it together and it's nice.
Yeah. And now you'll be also up in Oak Ridge for the Summerfest.
Yep, Sasquatch Summerfest. I did a video down there at Area 58 with my daughter for her birthday. We went down there. Priscilla was really nice. Our daughters were playing together, having a good time. We got to see all the stuff. Tobe's got some cool stuff in there. Some knee prints, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. So yeah, it's great. It's awesome. I can't wait for it.
All right, let's get into what happened on your first time that you headed up to the back side of what we know as actually the front side of the Al Moon Lab, into the wilderness area. You called me up and said, "Hey, I want to take my daughter. We're going to do a day trip. You got any locations?" Like, okay, here's this super secret squirrel area.
Yep.
Go up this road. And you did.
Yep.
And it wasn't even more than like an hour.
Yep.
I get a call and a text. I think it was a text. Tell me what the hell happened.
So, probably one of the strangest coincidences of anything I've ever seen in my entire life. We wanted to go Sasquatch hunting, and when I say hunting, I don't mean legitimate hunting. I'm with, a 7-year-old. We want to go in the woods and make a YouTube video and look for maybe tracks and things like that, but just somewhere that may be known to this type of activity. So I bring my daughter out there. We go about a mile or two back, and she gets scared, and she says, "Oh, I want to go home." I said, "Okay, we'll turn around." So we turn around, we start going back down, and this is not like a paved nice road or anything like that. You're out here. And so we start coming back down the hill, and she turns around and says, "Oh, are we leaving?" And I said, "Yeah, you said you wanted to go." And she's like, "No, no, no, I want to stay." So I pull over real quick. And as I pull over, it's kind of a little clearing area. And I said, "Oh, okay, here, look, there's like a deer trail or something right there. You can see kind of just an opening that should not necessarily be there." So I take her, and I have a machete with me, to cut branches and stuff for protection for if there's something crazy out there. And I start going down this little trail. I happen to see a ball of hair. And in my mind, I know we're here for Sasquatch, Bigfoot. I'm thinking, "Oh, wow, jackpot. Did I really just find something? This is amazing." So I kind of poke it for a second, trying to feel the texture, see what it is. And I look up, and then the next thing you're going to hear is, "Oh, my God." And I found a person who had been very recently. It was maybe about 3 weeks beforehand that it had happened. I'm not going to mention the name right now. But I will say on the positive side of things, me finding this person actually is what ended up solving this person, which was amazing. And yeah, we solved it on our first Bigfoot hunt, which was absolutely wild. And that's something to always keep in mind when you're in the woods and you're looking for Sasquatch, anything. There's plenty of dangerous things you can come across that are not a wild animal. And you can see some things that you're not supposed to see, especially in Oregon. These woods are not like, small areas, safe places near neighborhoods. These places are out there. So you always got to be careful, 100%.
So what do you think about Eugene? You think Eugene is, because some of the best footage I've ever seen, Mike,
Yep.
came out of Eugene in June. Actually, it came out of Springfield on Main Street from a local witness, June of last year. And the guy posted it on Springfield, Facebook, whatever.
Okay.
I'm going to show that footage right now. I'm going to give Michael a heads up and look at this footage because we've done some enhancements. This footage is going to blow your mind.
Is it insane?
It's insane.
Okay.
It's about 7 minutes long.
Dude, I'm surprised I didn't see this.
It's absolutely amazing. If this is a drone, this is the craziest drone I've ever seen. That's the only thing it could be, is just the craziest drone out there. It's remarkable. It's stunning. The witness is just in the right place at the right time with his girlfriend, walking the dog as the sun's setting on a summer day.
Okay.
And this is what they catch. So let's put it in. Describe the circumstance, what you were doing out there, and what, when you saw that whole scene.
Well, I was just stargazing with my girlfriend, and she pointed it out. And I just bought a new phone. I decided, hey, that would be a great time to record. So I ripped it out and started recording. And here we are.
So what you see in the footage is kind of what you get. There wasn't like a preamble of someone looking up, say, "Hey, do you see this weird purple thing flitting around in the sky right now going, it looks like it's going several hundred miles per hour through the sky." Yeah. Just given the distance it's at, it's moving at a high rate of speed.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was fast. I thought it was a drone, but the behavior of its movement was unlike a drone, unless it was a new kind of drone. But it was crazy because it appeared to be moving very far from wherever anyone could have a controller. I mean, it's very far, and a speed, it's just sort of rocketing in a distance. I thought it was coming towards me at first, and then I just decided to turn around, and it's not like it had any blinking lights or anything. It was just some solid beam. And certainly wasn't an asteroid, because I don't think they do that.
Stop in the middle of the air, and then let's show people what we're talking about here, because it does some pretty extraordinary stuff, including stop once or twice in the middle of flight. But then it seems to separate at a point here, and this is kind of the only enhancement that I've done, is that it seems to actually split into two, and it goes into two little purple glowing plasma shaped energy light sources of some kind, right? It doesn't look like a conventional craft. So when you see this footage here, you're not going to see something that appears to be any kind of conventional drone, any kind of conventional craft by any nature. And given the circumstances of what's been happening in Eugene, in particular Eugene, over the Eugene airport, I don't know if you've been following up on it, but there's been an uptick of UFO activity just right there on Old 99 over the Eugene airport, which is a ways away from where you had, well, not that by the way the crow flies. It's all pretty damn close. But let's show the people what we're talking about. Why don't you just walk us through what you're seeing here?
Well, it appears something moving in a horizontal direction, and I see a trail of light behind it, which is odd for any kind of modern day technology, unless it's some kind of rocket propelled, object.
Sure. It's stunning. And then at this point here, I've kind of got a little memorized like you do that, as soon as it passes the power line in the tree, it stops right above that little tiny branch.
That's
and
correct.
it just hangs there. So did you see it do this part here where it kind of seems to like flex and morph? Were you able to see that with your naked eye?
Yeah, I could.
I mean, just this part right there. Now, I could have done better at enhancing that particular scene for sure, but it almost appears as though there was going to be a second craft or whatever this is shoot out of the thing, but instead it kind of envelops it here, and then it takes off again at a high rate of speed, which people are going to see here any second. When you pan out, it's going to break left, and it just takes off like a NASCAR.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. I mean, just that whole thing, dude. It's like a cartoon character. Like, you remember the old Looney Tunes of like the mouse running across the kitchen floor? It looks like it's a flitting rodent scooting across the sky with like a comic like trail behind it or something. It's absolutely amazing. Do you ever get bored of looking at this?
No, I don't.
Has anybody approached you about this footage at all since it was on Facebook? There was some comments about it. Did anybody reach out to you?
My inbox has had a few inquiries, but not really.
So no local news got in touch with you?
No, I don't think they ever saw it.
No local radio stations, no media at all. How about any other podcast geeks at all? People into this whole UFO issue?
No.
Impressive. What do the skeptics say? Have you got any trolls after you? Like, oh, dude, that's the new Mavic DJI, blah, blah, blah.
I saw the comment board on Facebook, and people, while they thought it might be a drone, they seemed like they were questioning their own comment. I mean, it was odd for a drone, and I think that people were unsure, even if they thought it could be a drone. They were merely making a suggestion.
Now, this point here, it's interesting because it loses its coloration. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. It could just be because that light is in my camera now.
Right. And there you can see some of the mosquitoes going up to the light. You make comment of that if people could hear the audio. And this is the part I never saw till today. So walk us through this here. How long since it went to the left did it move back to the right?
It didn't take very long, and even before I started recording, I had observed this without the camera for several minutes. And I wonder if it's just observing the plate field below.
What's below it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, what is below it, Nick?
Oh, the town.
Oh, now look at that shot there. That's interesting. It's almost like a hummingbird sitting on a wire. That's pretty bizarre. Out of all the places it could have stopped, Almost like it landed on a musical note that it liked. So you think maybe it was checking out Spring Tucky?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so the where okay, now this part here, did you see it do that, or is that your lens? I want to rewind that here where it seems like it's tumbling through the air. Do you think this was your camera trying to focus in on this, or did it actually turn into kind of like a lightsaber and flip around?
I don't think it was my camera.
Do you think this area is more active than other areas, and if so, why would that be?
So I think Eugene is pretty active, and I think another big part of it is that I think there's a lot of people that are kind of into the subject of UFOs here, which makes them a little more vigilant to look at the sky at, random periods of time. I'm always looking at the sky. And I think that kind of is one of those things where you're like, okay, eventually somebody's got to see something.
Yeah.
And with people, being aware of this thing, it makes people see stuff because they say, okay, here we go. There's something in the sky. What's this? Let's film it. And you end up with some crazy clips.
What about the rumors of there being military bases along Coburg? Have you ever heard that rumor between Shotgun Creek and Coburg that there's actual DUMBs, underground bases?
I have not heard that before, actually. That sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like I need to go check it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a story off record here. Pretty scary night, actually, for me and my son. So, I don't know. Lots of TR-3B type craft, triangular craft seen over there as well. And a lot of air traffic going from the Pacific out to Nellis over Cottage Grove. They'll tip their wings as they're heading out to Nellis Base. Yeah, that
is puzzling because Nellis that's a pretty known base for some strange things.
Well, cool. I'm going to let him go. He's actually heading back to work. But thanks, Michael, for doing this.
Absolutely.
Dude.
Thank you, man. It was good seeing you again.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
All right, dude. Talk to you later.